in the game in his mind, which you want everyone to think that way. But here he is as a true freshman, bringing up different scenarios in the game, and he's playing the game, and that's what's allowing him to have the opportunity that he does right now. So. He's competitive, he's smart, and he's going to continue to get stronger.
Has it surprised you at all that with the injuries and having to move some guys around and some new guys put in, that the cohesiveness has pretty much not fallen off at all?
Yeah, I think that's the group working together. Things, going through the spring, through the fall, and we often stress to them that, hey, you know what? At some point, somebody's going to be called on in another position. You never want things to happen that have happened, but I think the guys have really answered to that well. I think the leadership has been really outstanding with the guys saying, hey, now's your time. And the thing, again, with Jack and Chance being here, and this is what most people need to understand, is they were here in the spring, okay? And it allowed them to have a chance to grow with the unit that much more leading into the summer, leading into this fall. So the other part about Jack and Chance that has been, it's been exciting is they really don't want to let the older guys down. Mm-hmm. None of them do, but these guys really have invested the offseason lifting with them in the springtime. They've gone through a spring ball. So there's a lot more for them that they want to prove to Kyler Kurbisons and Matt Crowders and all that. So they're putting a lot on their shoulders and they're answering to it, but I think the leadership has helped.
Seeing some of the guys go down and the other young guys step up and fill some spots, where are guys like Charles Mosley and Denzel Boulware and stuff, where are they at in their development? Has this kind of maybe kick-started them to work a little bit harder?
Yeah, and with both, Charles and Denzel and Drew, I mean, really you can lump those three guys together. What people need to understand is, again, Charles was at the D-line mostly the entire spring. And Charles missed an entire year of football. So you're talking about a position where it's the most unnatural task in sports. I mean, it just, so from him, where he's at right now, there's no question. He's really working hard to accelerate his learning and his play and so forth. But I keep reminding myself, and our coach and I talk about it, I said, Coach, he missed an entire year of football. He's making progress. We're going to be all right. And he's understanding the game, and it's not as far off that you think, in terms of his grasping and so forth. Denzel and Drew are, again, they're freshmen. And people sometimes feel like, well, if they're not playing as a freshman, are they not doing well? They're doing well. This is, again, the toughest league in the country, and it's the toughest position in football, and for those guys to come in and play right away at it, that's asking a lot. So we're not going to force them into a situation in which they're not completely ready yet. So they're making strides. The future's bright with them, their attitude and approach and all that, and it's a timely thing for them.
Coach, how hard is it for kids like that have always been, just the man, to come in and stay motivated when they're not playing? Do they get depressed, or do you keep it?
It's difficult. It's difficult when you have guys that have had the success, they've played all the time, and they're at a game and they're on the sideline going, and I'm obviously into the game coaching it, but at times I'll look and read some body language, and it's almost like they're, what am I supposed to be doing right now? So it is difficult, but it's a good thing because they want to be out there. They're frustrated, in their mind. I'm ready, and you're not. Just hang on. Let's slow this thing down a little bit, and but they're handling it. And again, I think the people here and the support here of the players, Antone Davis, Ike Brown, all the support staff that we have allow guys to really fight through those times. And us as coaches, Coach Jones and position coach and all that, hey, you know what? You're not the only. They think they're the only ones that ever gone through it. And so I remind them that there's a lot of great guys that walked through these walls that have actually sat out a year.
Coach, you've got two true freshmen on the right side. Do you have to ever get with Coach Ford and say they can handle this, but maybe they can't handle that? Does it affect what you try to do play calling wise?
No, definitely as you sit down as a staff and you talk through your game plan, you play to your strengths and weaknesses of your players, but there's really been nothing to where we've said, hey, we've got to really back off of this, or we really got to be careful with calling this. And, in any game, you want to try to avoid any possible mismatches across the board, freshman or not. But, again, I think the spring allowed these guys to be in a position where you're seeing some different fronts, you're seeing some different things from folks that they're able to adapt a lot easier to it. So, and Coach DeBoard, again, his background being offensive line play allows the play calling to be in a situation where we're never going to, put some guys in a situation where they're on an island too much.
How well is Kyler playing?
Kyler's been the most consistent player we have. Practice, his play, his leadership, I can't say enough about him. I'll answer more.
Don,
I got spoiled. We've been in that beautiful indoor. This is nice walls and all that. So
I actually wanted to ask more about Kyler. I mean, talked about his leadership. How have you seen him kind of grow into that role, and what has he done well as a leader this year?
I think he's just been through a lot through the course of his career, and I think he's finally enjoying success that he's personally having, and success that, that there's some things that we're doing that's more productive than what we've, have done in the past. And, especially last year, stuff as some things were. So I think he's just building off of, some confidence in himself and what we're doing offensively, and just the state of where we're at right now. We said right after the game Saturday, we said, hey, we got to keep working and building on this, and we got a lot of football to play. So he and I are attached at the hip with that, and I can't say enough about him.
Don, Butch and Kyler and some other guys talked about chance to jack their poise that they've shown. They've been calm when they've been thrown in there. They've been calm on the road. Does that surprise you, or I guess how do they compare to other freshmen that you've coached in terms of their ability to just kind of stay poised in their first, I guess, significant action?
They've really surprised me a lot. And, of course, you compare them with Coleman and Jay-Sean a year ago, which very similar. Coleman's first game starting was Oklahoma. Going into last week's ball game, again, I think their poise and their sideline demeanor is outstanding. And I saw it the first play against Georgia that Chance went in was a situation in which he had a critical decision to make on the given play called. He didn't flinch. In terms of the call made, he came off. I looked at him and smiled. We didn't convert on the third down, but I smiled to myself and I said, we're going to be just fine. And I was excited for him because I said, you know what? And Coach DeBoard said that week, he said, if we run into a situation, Mo, I feel good about, we got to go to Chance. I feel good about the week of practice he's had. I said, I do too. So he put the work in over time, but that week of practice really allowed himself. And, and he's battling through this week in the fact that he's never satisfied. He's disappointed with how the game ended, and if anything, they're hard on themselves a little bit to an extent where you got to kind of just keep things in check with them and so forth. But their demeanor and maturity has been outstanding.
From that second half through the last 4 quarters last week, you've been out basically 4 starters. Is this the most injuries you've ever had to deal with?
Yeah, the Georgia game at one point in the first half, I was, I was looking around. I said, I don't know, I always have in my back pocket. I have backup plans for A, B, and C if some things happen. And I was looking. I was running out of A, D, E, and F. I said, we're getting down to this now. But you know what? Again, through our practices and over time, there's always got to be plans in place of the what ifs, and I think a lot of the guys have attacked that from the situations of, you never have enough centers. You got guys that have to play guards. You got guys that have to play tackles, and you got to roll with that, and they understand that, and the concept of us teaching the offense and all that. So I've been proud of the way the guys have responded, and you know what? There's still more football to play, and there's unfortunately maybe some more things will happen, but we just got to keep plugging away.
What kind of challenges does Kentucky's front present to y'all this weekend?
They multiple looks, very active. I know, again, over time, the respect that I have for Coach Stoops and knowing his background and all that he's accomplished. I mean, they do a number of things with their defense, and and always a road game in the SEC is that much more difficult, and just communication being important, and definitely snapping and clearing after a good or bad play, moving on, because they'll bring things from everywhere, from the field, the boundary, multiple fronts, and the different personnel. Obviously, very good front, linebacking core is extremely active, and so we got to be hitting on all cylinders.
What have you learned from working with Coach Debo this year with offensive line? Seems like he's with you guys a lot.